Hello everybody, I'm Pablo. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This series has been receiving a lot of praise. Just like in parts 1 and 2, I will show you guys videos of various people talking about various topics so as to keep you guys interested while you're listening to natural English conversation. Even if you're not currently studying English, I made sure to make these videos interesting to everyone. Now, without further ado, let's begin. Hi, where are you from?
I'm from America.
What's one thing you really like about Korea and one thing you're not so crazy about?
I like pretty much everything. My favorite thing is probably the food and how easy it is to make friends here.
Oh really? You think it's easy to make friends compared to where you're from?
Yeah, personally for me, yeah. I make a lot of friends here.
Yeah, doing what? Can I ask?
Going to like bars or like going language exchange cafes, that kind of thing.
There's a lot of curated events here.
Yeah, there's a lot of events that you can meet with people and, you know, like trying to learn each other's language. So.
Cool. Or other interests, you know, like other hobby groups too, probably exist too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm here on vacation, so I don't really get to go to a ton of them because some of them are like period related, like in a certain season, but
sure.
Yeah, but there are a lot.
Okay, so there's a lot to do here.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunities to meet people. How about one aspect about being here that you don't like so much?
I guess like one of the few things is just like when people stare at you, or maybe the assumption that like I'm just here for like to have like fun and not here to like appreciate how it is to be here, I guess. That's like the assumption, but the second they know that you can speak Korean or that you're trying, they kind of get a lot more nice about it. But at first I think it's the initial like assumption.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you felt that a bit here?
Yeah, but I can understand.
Okay.
But, yeah, so.
Have you met people that are like that? They only come here to party?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people like that.
So maybe there is some truth to the stereotype?
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why there is one, but
really?
Not everyone's like that. So.
And so could I ask where you're from? What part of the U.S.?
I'm from Georgia.
Georgia. Are there a lot of tourists that come there?
Yeah, I would say so because we have Atlanta. So
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people will go there, or Savannah, something like that. But I don't really notice because everyone's diverse in America, so you don't really know who is the visitor.
Yeah, right
per se.
on.
So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Hey, where are you from?
Hey, my name is Rowena and I'm from Scotland.
So what are some things about your life here in Korea that you like, and what are some things that you're not so crazy about?
Okay, there's a lot of things about Korea that I like, and there are some things about Korea that maybe I'm not too crazy on. So for example, the things that I like, I think Korea is really, really, really convenient. Like, you guys have everything for everything, and I think that's amazing.
And I think that's not to be underrated.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, just convenience stores, Wi-Fi, subway in Seoul especially, like everything is just, it's very easy. Delivery here is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, like delivery, I can order anything I want online, it'll be at my house the next day. I love delivery. And food delivery, yeah, Korea's not good if you want to lose weight, guys, but yeah. Medical care. Korea has statistically one of the best medical care in the world, and that's completely true. When I go for health checkups, it takes like 30 minutes, and just like boom, 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 boom.
So you think the high health insurance payments are worth it?
It's worth it.
I think so too. Yeah.
They are a bit steep sometimes, but it's definitely worth it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I didn't think so at first, but now I went to the dentist and I've done some other kind of necessary checkups like that I need to do. And a lot of it's covered by the insurance, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, back in the UK we have the NHS, so everything is free, but everything is very slow. I'm not blaming the British government. I think we just have a lack of doctors and a lack of funding.
So let's go to the things that you don't like so much.
Okay.
The controversial topic, but interesting.
Historically, Korea was one of the fastest countries in the world to develop after the war. So that's why you would have like a really modern country with people with maybe like the same old mindset.
Yeah.
So things like that, for example. But it's really not a big deal. I mean, Korea's still changing for the better every day, so.
Yeah, and I just want to say too that I feel like a lot of people living here are afraid to share their opinion a little bit.
Right.
See, you're allowed to talk about things that, you know, maybe don't mesh with you personally.
Right.
And yeah, I don't think you're being disrespectful by doing that. And I think a lot of Koreans are very curious. One of the things that I do
take pride in is like having honest conversations. So I guess you can feel a little bit comfortable in that way. If you don't mind, can I ask you, what do you mean exactly by this mindset? Is there an example of this?
Okay, I think maybe there's a lot of pressure in terms of careers. Some parents really pressure their children to like enter a specific career path rather than just being like, oh, you wanna do what you want and go do what you want. They're more like, I think this is better, you earn more money and stability, which is true for everyone around the world.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes Korean parents, they can be a bit pressuring.
Could you maybe extend this to like forcing kids to go to after-school academies at a very young age?
Right.
And like this very high emphasis on education. It kind of takes away from a lot of freedom. I was a teacher for years. Maybe you were too.
I was.
Yeah, so you know how much schooling a lot of the kids do here.
Yeah.
It can be stressful. I've seen that.
It can be stressful. It's true. It's true. So me and Sean were both teachers before our current careers.
That's right.
So we've both seen the education system of Korea, and there's loads of good points and there's some like not so good points. And I would say the education pressure in Korea, and honestly, you know, I've lived in China, Hong Kong and Taiwan, I can say the education pressure in Asia in general is actually very, very high.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? You can't even say that this is all bad too, because it is this pressure that made Korea into the first world country that it is.
Right.
It's this work ethic. It's this, we don't have any natural resources in our country, so our humans, our population, our people, our citizens are the natural resources, you know?
Exactly.
So we got to make them the best. And Korea has like a really high average IQ. The rate at which kids go to college is really high too.
Okay, if I was president of Korea, there's one thing I would change. I think the university entrance exam, the Sunin, I think there's too much pressure on the Sunin because it's just like one, what's it, 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, one big exam. Whereas in the UK, the Sunin is actually split over 2 weeks. So, I mean, some people would argue 2 weeks is too long, you have too much time to study, but even though that's true, children have less stress.
Yeah.
So I think the student can be split into like maybe 3 days in Korea. I think that would mentally be really good for the kids.
I've noticed that that's a big difference between the West and the East. In the East here in Korea especially, the style of testing is like study at the end of the semester. Massive, huge, monumental tests that if you mess up, it's not good.
Exactly.
Whereas in the West, it's like small tests,
Yeah.
kind of big tests.
Yeah.
So it's a little less pressure.
What I've also noticed with the college entrance exam is when children don't get the scores they wanted, or if they fail the test somehow, there's like more cases of suicide because of disappointing their parents or just stress or feeling burdened. Whereas in other countries, there's very, very, very rare cases of suicide when you fail the exam. You would just retake it.
Yeah.
I think that's one evidence, I guess, of education pressure.
Yeah. You're right. You got it. Cool.
So it's okay, kids. You got this. I'm trying to.
It's not the end of the world.
I do feel.
There's a lot of things you can do with your life.
And there's like other things about Korea. I guess driving. I think drivers in Korea can be a bit like crazy.
Yeah, I'm afraid of taxis here. I don't want to get hit by a taxi.
To be granted, like people in Britain, our population is not that big, especially in Scotland. Our population is really not that big. But we're really polite when we drive. When we drive, like another car coming, like we'll stop the car and we're like, oh, you go first. Like we're really, really polite. Whereas here, I feel like no one's like, you go first. It's like, I'll go first.
So taxis definitely scare me. But when you're like crossing the street here, the car gets the right of way.
Yes.
Whereas in the West, this is very unfamiliar to me, and it took me a while to get used to. The car gets the right of way here. In the West, the pedestrian gets the right of way.
Exactly.
We cross first. I remember when I first got here, there was kind of like a showdown between me and this car, and he's like, let me go. And I'm like, no, let me go.
Are you talking about when cars can do the right turn?
I'm talking about
Even
like
though
there's
it's
a crosswalk here. And in the West, I get to cross.
Right.
Whereas here, it's kind of like the car gets to go first, and then I go.
Right.
So there.
You know what though? I would argue it's supposed to be the pedestrians' right of way.
Yeah.
But cars just go anyway because they just don't care. I would argue it's that.
That could be it. Yeah.
Because they're rushing to go somewhere, you know.
Yeah. Right on.
But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm from Canada. So overall, my life is really good. It's not drastically different from my life in Canada. The main things are pretty typical. Very fast, cheap internet. I like the fast delivery system. Not just like food delivery, but also just ordering online internet things like Coupang and Gmarket. And I'm an English teacher, so there's a lot of jobs available. So that's a good amount of stability. And I think the other thing is probably the transportation. It's a lot cheaper, it's more accessible, it's more widespread than back home in Canada.
Yeah. So now for the things that you don't really like.
Yeah, they're not terrible. I mean, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But things like air quality.
Yeah.
You know, it's very normal to wear a mask in your everyday life now. But back home in Canada, if you have to wear a mask because of the air quality, that's like a national emergency. It's very strange.
Yeah. It stinks though, because a lot of that is not really Korea's fault. Just geographically, their location is very unfortunate, and it's really hard to negotiate when your country is just so much smaller compared to like that of China. You know?
Exactly.
It's a shame.
It is a shame, and that's probably, if I go back to Canada in a couple of years, that will be the thing that's the tipping point. Because for me, it's like a health problem that I don't want to do long term. Another thing I don't like, it's still very conservative. A lot of people like to say, oh, Korea's changing. Not that fast. Not as fast as you think. So I think when I meet individual young Koreans my age, I feel they're more open-minded, they understand. But by and large, it's very conservative and it's very stifling. So the casual sexism, the casual racism, you know, so it's very uncomfortable. But I don't have day-to-day issues. It's just microaggressions that just pile up after a while. So after 8 years, I'm getting a little bit tired of it. Another thing I definitely don't like is I've been here for 8 years, but no matter how long I'm here, no matter how well I speak Korean, or
She speaks well.
Thank you. Not in this video, I'm tired. But no matter what I do to sort of get myself into the culture, I'm never quite there. So it's very conservative and very closed off. So it's a little frustrating that it still isn't more welcoming.
I think I know what you mean.
But other than that, it's pretty much a normal life like I would have in Canada. Just everything's in Korean.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your answers.
Okay.
All right, bye. Hi, where are you from?
I'm David, I'm from Canada. I've been in Seoul for 5 years, and Seoul has sucked me into its fast-paced, work hard, get things done culture. That's what I like, and that's what I don't like.
Okay.
So I like it because maybe in my 20s and teens, I just never found any subject in school or any hobby that I could really apply and just like sink my teeth into, right? In Seoul, I think I found how to apply myself and work hard every day and just try to advance what I'm doing. But at the same time, there's no space or freedom to reflect and be free and float around a little bit. So that's what I like about Seoul. It's like opportunity is fast, it's got a quick pulse. But at the same time, sometimes you just want to relax.
Yeah. So it sounds like living in Seoul has given you a real jump start. It's kicked you in the butt.
Yeah.
It's really supercharged your ambition and ability to work hard and get things done and have a focus. Would that be fair to say?
I would say that's fair to say.
But
but
on the positive side.
on the positive side. But on the negative side, it's like, okay, let's slow down for a little bit. Let's just think about where we're going, what we're doing.
On the negative side, it's like, where the heck did all my time go?
Yeah.
Why am I so busy and I'm unemployed? I'm so busy.
Yeah. So am I going in the right direction here? Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I definitely feel that too. Like living in Seoul, I always feel busy. I always have a million things to do. Running my YouTube channel, working with other companies, maintaining relationships, maintaining my health, always other things to do, taxes and this stuff. Yeah. Definitely when I lived in the countryside of Chungju, where you live too, I felt like I had a lot of time. I could walk around, listen to music.
yeah,
It was really nice,
It was
right?
great. Like I had this restaurant that I would go to with like Ajuma, just an old Korean woman, and I go in there and she'd be so happy to see like a foreigner. Because there's not that many foreigners. She made like a free rice. We just talk about nothing, and then we go and goodbye. It's just good feeling, good exchange. Don't really see that in Seoul. So many customers are coming through. It's like, who has time to have that connection, human-to-human connection? So
Yeah. Ironically, there are more people here, but you can feel more lonely.
Everyone's a little bit of an NPC.
Lonelier, yeah.
A lot of NPCs.
NPCs, what does that mean?
You know, a computer game, there's like it's not a player, it's just like a computer character. So people treat each other like NPCs a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Go to the cafe, it's like, don't even look the person in the eye, order a coffee, get it, you know? But that was a person. In a smaller town, you would have like had a little engagement of some kind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I missed that part.
Yeah. How's the weather? Nice weather. Whereas in Seoul, it's like 4,001, please, thank you. Next.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I totally get that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Thank you. Hi, where are you from?
I am from America, Maryland.
Great. What are some things that you like and you don't like so much about your life here in Korea?
You know, for me being Korean American,
Okay.
and culturally it wasn't a shock. I knew what I was getting into.
Okay.
I grew up very American, but you know, I would ask my parents, hey, like, what are things I should look out for that I'm gonna bother people with?
Yeah, your parents are from Korea?
Yeah, my parents were born in Korea, but they moved when they were very young. And so
Oh.
culturally, it was like more American than Korean.
Yeah.
And so there were things that I knew to expect, but I'd only heard. And coming to Korea, things I like are, of course, right, things are open. And things being open is a big thing because even living, you know, in Boston, which is seen as such a college town, and stuff closes. And there's schools everywhere. And I went to school for a couple years there, but stuff closes. You get to like midnight even. The Dunkin' Donuts would close at midnight, and the first time I found out, I got really mad.
Midnight, that is
Midnight.
so early.
Yeah. The convenience stores even close.
Not very convenient.
Not, that's what I said. I was like, how are you getting closed at midnight?
Yeah, where I'm from in Philadelphia, the 7-Eleven is open literally 24/7.
Right? I
And
mean,
not in Boston, I guess.
no, in Boston it's not like that. In DC it's like that.
Huh. Really different by city, eh?
City by city, Boston is not friendly to nightlife.
Yeah, so when do like bars and clubs, these kinds of things, when do they usually close in Boston?
The latest they're allowed to sell alcohol is 2 a.m. And so basically they all shut down at 2 a.m.
Wow. Fair. So you like that about your life here in Seoul?
Oh man, I just like having the option. It's not like I'm actually gonna be out there, but
The
if
option.
I'm out, right, I think 2 a.m. is a weird line.
Okay.
I like, you know, like if you said 3 o'clock, I would probably leave at 2:30 anyway. But when you say 2 o'clock, that means everything is like slowing down at 1:30.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I needed another hour.
Yeah, you're right. 2 is a little bit too early, I think. So, what I'm hearing, tell me if this is right, it sounds like you really like having the option to stay out late if you want, and most times maybe you don't, but still it's like the freedom you like in Seoul.
Definitely having the option is important to me. I like choices, right?
Okay.
You don't have to do it, but I want to be able to do it if I happen to want
Okay.
to, that, you know, one time a month or one time every 2 months. In the US, a lot of the times there are regulations or paperwork and things that whatever it says on the paper is how it's going to go. And I knew this culturally coming over, but man, it's hard to believe that you can go into a government office and if the person doesn't like you and they choose to reject your application, you can go in the next day and the other person might like you and might accept it. That's hard to believe as like the way a government office works.
Maybe that's not technically legal, but that's the way things work here for
Yeah.
sure. Definitely in my experience too. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of things like meetings and contracts, a lot of them are done by feeling or by word of mouth or by like spur of the moment. Hey, let's have a meeting here at 3. Let's have a meeting tomorrow at 1. It's like, I have plans tomorrow, you know? Like, whereas in the US, it's all scheduled. It's very polite to let everybody know.
Right, you gotta figure out when the time can work. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, just make this time work.
Right. So as a Korean American, are you legally, not culturally, but legally, are you treated more like a foreigner or like, do you have more of a Korean kind of benefits in that way?
This is the weirdest thing to me. I sometimes wish that they could ignore my Korean American status and just treat me as a foreigner.
Okay.
Because you get this weird thing where it's like some of the systems think you're almost a Korean or a resident or you know whatever, a citizen, however you want to put it. And other systems really recognize that you're not.
Yeah.
And so you'll have times where they're like,
Interesting.
you're a foreigner. And I've had other times where it's like Korean people and, you know, just culturally where they'll look at me and be like, you're Korean. And I was like, you know, I get it, but I'm not. And we're going to have more problems if you insist I'm Korean because I just grew up so not Korean.
They're gonna think that you know things that they assume to be obvious.
Right.
Whereas to you, they're not obvious.
Especially with so many terms of respect and the way you speak to people, right? I tell them ahead of time.
Cultural expectations.
I'm going to make mistakes,
That's
and
good.
I just ask them to understand because I didn't grow up with this. You know, like any foreigner, I do my best, but unlike a lot of Korean Americans who grew up with much more Korean culture, I didn't even know what Chuseok was. I was in college and I had Korean friends ask me, are you gonna go be with your family for Chuseok? And I was like, what is Chuseok? Well, yeah, so that's how I try to demonstrate to people how not Korean I was. It's like, I didn't even know this thing existed.
You spoke to your parents in English, probably.
English.
Because
I speak to my grandparents in English.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And do they live in Korea?
No, so my grandparents also live in America.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, you're a very special case.
Yeah, so I mean, my parents technically were first generation immigrants because my parents were so young when they moved.
Yeah, and I'm sure their English is better than their Korean.
It's about the same because
wow.
they've used both for work and whatnot. So I would say they're both fluent in both languages, but I was growing up in America. There wasn't a huge need. They tried to teach my brother. What happened was they taught my brother only Korean. They're like, he'll learn English in school.
That's a good idea.
He didn't know any English when he got to school. They realized this was a problem because the teachers can't even talk to him. He doesn't speak any English. And then so they stopped.
So your brother older than you?
My older brother, yeah.
So now is he completely bilingual?
No, my brother speaks like no Korean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they're
wild.
like, they're just like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll just do it English.
Holy moly, that's so interesting. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye. Hi, where are you from?
Hey, my name is Rowena and I'm from Scotland.
So, what are some Korean habits that you've adopted while living here in Korea?
You know what is different is the way I eat.
Okay.
So before I came to Korea, I never liked Americanos and I never liked beer. Like I would drink anything but Americanos. I would drink lattes or cappuccinos or whatever. And I would drink anything but beer. I would drink cocktails and like shots or liquor or whiskey. You know, the Scottish love whiskey. And since coming to Korea, I slowly got into Americanos and beer.
Yeah.
And now I'm obsessed with Americanos and beer.
So what do you eat with your beer? Do you eat pizza or chicken?
I like both.
Okay.
Depends if I want carbs or protein.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I remember one time I was walking along the Hangan. I think this was like 3 years ago, and it was a really hot summer's day. And I was walking by myself along the Hangan, and I just felt so hot and sweaty and thirsty.
Okay.
And I saw someone drinking a cass. And then I was just like, wow, that looks really good. So I went into the convenience store on the Hangan and I bought a cass for the first time. And I took a sip of beer for the first time. And it was like the best thing I ever had in my life.
It's like a commercial for cass. No. I know what you mean though. I feel like as I've been getting a little bit older and like the hot summer days come along, you finish your work and you're near the park, nothing really hits a spot like a cold beer.
It's true.
It's pretty wicked good. Right?
It's true. If you're not into Americanos and beer, Korea will change you. I'm telling you.
Right on. Any other habits?
I've noticed that when I speak Korean, my tone of voice goes higher.
Okay.
So I feel like when I speak English, my voice is kind of deeper. But when I speak Korean, I become very like, 네, 알겠습니다, 네. Like very, very polite and very high tone.
You've noticed that?
I'm not quite sure why. Maybe because my Korean friends be like that.
Okay. Do you have a lot of like female Korean friends?
I do have a lot of female Korean friends, but also I've noticed that when I make phone calls to like hospitals or banks or whatever, the people who work in customer service, they speak very polite and high tones, and like they try not to show expression. They're just very like, 네, 알겠습니다, 고객님. So I guess I kind of just copied them. Whereas in English, you know, I'm not scared of showing expression. Like if I'm annoyed, I will tell you like I'm annoyed. Like, yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, bye. Hi, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Canada. The most common ones are probably typical hand gestures, like the gesture for money is like this. We usually do like a little finger rub back home for money, but money, they go like this. But this is more like an okay for us.
Yeah,
Even if I flip it like this, it's still okay, but it's a weird okay.
Yeah.
But in Korea, this is money. Yeah. Another big one is saying no or like ande. So they'll do this or they'll literally do an X with their arms.
Yeah.
That's insane in Canada. Like we understand that an X means no, but it doesn't make sense. No one would ever physically do that.
Kind of looks like a video game move. Like
Exactly.
Doing a
like
superpower.
you're blocking someone's attack.
Fire blast.
So if you did that in Canada, people would kind of look at you a little funny. But in Korea, they're just like, oh, sorry, no, we can't do it. And it makes sense. So I picked that up a lot
Yeah.
because I don't want to talk to people.
How about the opposite one too? You could do a circle for yes, right?
Oh, yeah, we don't do that.
That doesn't make
either.
any sense.
No,
huh?
that's weird.
To us, it's very strange.
I never thought of that because I don't do that one yet. I have not adopted that mannerism because it's too weird. Yeah, a little bit too weird. Another one is maybe, I just thought of this now, is when they gesture for like angry, they do this cute little like horns. Like they're like, he's angry.
Yeah.
But we don't, this in Canada doesn't make any sense.
Have you ever tried doing this
I do it all the time.
to Canadian friends?
All the time.
Do they understand what it means?
They think it's funny. If they're like, what is that? And I'll say, oh, it's a heart. And they pause and they look at it and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because it never occurred to them to do a heart. So we don't do that in pictures and stuff. So some people might do it, but it's only if they saw it on the internet or something. But I hope it catches on because it's so cute.
Interesting.
So cute.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye. Hi, where are you from?
I am from Maryland, USA.
So, what are some taboos in the US and how would you compare them to taboos here in South Korea?
There's definitely a taboo in Korea that I had no idea existed. And I was in school in America talking to a Korean person, and they were totally like, I can't believe this is happening. And I first moved to Boston and I was going to school, and I was just subletting an apartment for the summer. I didn't know who the other people were, right? I just subletted a bedroom from someone. The other two roommates were female, it turns out, right? And so I was living there, and the next year, I believe I was dating a girl from Korea. There are a lot of international students at the school.
Okay.
And she was asking me stuff, and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I've had female roommates before. Is that weird? And she was like, completely like, didn't know how to take that because she thought it was the weirdest thing.
Interesting.
I started learning more about Korea, and I was like, oh my gosh, guys can't even get into the female dorm building.
Really?
Yeah, so they're completely separate buildings. Now in Korea, you can't get into the building, there's security guards. And so the idea that I had females, not just like on the same floor, living in my house, like she thought that was completely the weirdest thing she had ever heard.
Yeah.
And I talked to other Korean people, they're like, yeah, if they didn't know that was normal, they're gonna think that's super weird.
Yeah. Why is it weird? What's the weird factor about that?
I think just because it doesn't exist. And another thing is probably guys and girls don't really live together in Korea.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest.
It's not super uncommon for guys and girls to be roommates in America, to be housemates. My sister.
I've had female roommates in college as well.
Yeah.
When I moved off of campus and I was still commuting to campus, I just looked on the internet, Craigslist, and they had an empty room. It was a bit smaller, and I'm a guy. I don't have that much stuff compared to most women. I'm not gonna generalize, but I took the ad and I lived there, and they were fine. They were doctors going to med school. I was going to liberal arts. And we had food together sometimes, and we really didn't even talk that much.
No, you don't have to interact, right?
You don't have to interact. Yeah.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship where you guys can all pay the rent together.
Yeah, I paid a little bit cheaper rent, and they had someone to fill in the room. So.
Yeah, but if you talk to a Korean person and you tell them that, especially with the proliferation of one rooms, right? Where everyone can kind of live by themselves. In America, a studio apartment, a one-bedroom apartment really is a premium.
It is.
Right? Because the price difference between that one bedroom and the two bedroom is so small.
Yeah.
But in Korea, the price difference between the one bedroom and the two bedroom can be really large. And they've kind of created these solo living habitats, per se. And so the idea that you would need to live with someone is kind of strange because, there's plenty of places you can easily live alone in Korea.
Yeah.
And then to make that a female of the opposite sex, Korea's not ready for that.
Not ready.
They're not ready for that.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good one. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, bye. Hi, where are you from?
Hey, my name is Rowena, and I'm from Scotland.
Great.
a big taboo in Korea. You shouldn't
Big no-no.
Yes, you shouldn't write someone's name in red ink because it means that they're going to die or like you want them to pass away or something. Back home we have superstitions, but
Yeah.
they're a bit different. So here, like the number 4 is kind of taboo, whereas back home number 13 is kind of taboo. Like I like to use red ink when I make notes because it kind of makes things pop out a bit more.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like if I'm writing notes to a friend, I'll use red ink, but then I'll realize I'm not supposed to use red ink, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to write it again. But yeah, so red ink, clothing.
Clothing, okay.
Clothing. I think back home, people kind of wear whatever they want. Like if they wanna, wear like a tank top, they'll wear a tank top. If they wanna wear hot pants, they'll wear hot pants. If they wanna wear a tank top and hot pants, they'll do that. Whereas people in Korea, they usually show their legs, but they would never show cleavage.
True.
Although I feel like
I've heard that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the younger generation of Koreans are changing though. I feel like they're dressing more kind of like how they want, tank tops, cleavage, and all, which is great. I mean, like just being expressive. But I think clothing, definitely clothing.
Yeah, there's taboos more in Korea in regards to clothing.
Exactly.
Whereas
exactly.
really no restrictions in Scotland.
Right. I think in Scotland, people will still stare at you if you're dressing really, really provocatively.
Yeah.
I think more or less people back home, they don't really care and they wear what they want. Whereas here, they will maybe care a little bit more and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear this. I should change my outfit.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Of course, you're taking a walk in the park.
Right.
It's a Saturday morning.
Right.
You can wear whatever you want in Scotland. How about if you're in a school? How about if you're in a company? How about if you're at a wedding, a funeral? Are these places more restrictive, I would guess?
Yeah, but honestly, I think that's the same for all over the world.
Yeah.
I think all over the world, if you're working in an office, you're supposed to dress respectively,
professionally,
and appropriately. With weddings, again, I mean, you're supposed to just dress elegantly, right? And just classy, appropriately. You're not supposed to upshow the bride. No wearing white, for example.
These are girl things that I don't know, because I'm just a dumb guy.
I think schools also is the same all over the world. I feel like I see a lot of middle school girls and high school girls in Korea who actually pull their skirt up really high to make it shorter. I've seen that with middle school girls in Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've noticed Korean girls, they wear makeup a lot earlier than British girls.
That seems to be true, yeah.
Yeah, British girls, the first time they usually wear makeup is usually when they're like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Whereas
international age.
International age.
Yeah.
Whereas in Korea, I feel like the moment they go into middle school first year, they've got the lipstick on.
Yeah, they get the hair curlers. I've seen that so much when I was a teacher.
Lipstick, they've got like the foundation. Yeah, it is. They go all out. Another difference I would say is maybe like informal and formal speech.
Okay.
In Korea, you have formal speech and informal speech, and you're supposed to know when to use each, depending on the person's like position or age, or if you're a senior or if you're a junior. In Britain, we don't have, and like in English-speaking countries, there's no formal or informal, but there's etiquette and manners.
And I think tone of voice too.
And tone of voice, exactly. So for example, in English-speaking countries, even though we don't have formal speech, we still have to say like, please, you're welcome, I'm sorry, and like, may I, just things like that.
Yeah.
But more or less, I mean, if you're talking to a colleague or your boss, apart from saying please, thank you, and like sir or ma'am, more or less you can just kind of speak how you want to speak.
I would agree with what you're saying. One thing I've noticed personally is definitely Korean, with someone who you have a professional relationship, the word you, no.
Right.
Or even like 당신, they use it sometimes, but not that much. It's more like your name, she.
Yeah.
Like, and then in the U.S. that is a huge difference. You can say like, what about you, sir? You.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference. But here's a funny thing. I was watching a movie last weekend, a medieval movie in England, and they had a lot of honorific speech. Yes, sir. Yes, sire.
Right.
You're my lord. But that stayed in Korean culture, whereas I think in the West that's kind of dropped off a lot. We don't
Right.
say my lord, my lady.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Is that funny?
That's like Old English, right? I love Old English.
But
Old English is great.
that is exactly what honorifics is.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I think it's kind of the same now, but like modernized. So like now you
Tone of
say
voice.
more like for example, I think most parents, if you call your mom by their name, they would be like, "What did you just call me?"
Right.
But also like when I first came to Korea, actually one of my biggest hurdles was learning to speak formal. I would slip into informal speech when I didn't even realize it, and then like my colleagues would scold me, and you're like, you can't do that. This is what you should have said, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I feel like informal and formal was one of my biggest hurdles in learning Korean.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Now I'm more used to it, but I still have my slip-ups.
My question is, so say you're in a group, and one person is your boss, one person is your sister, your younger sister, one is like your boyfriend, one is like a new friend, one is your grandmother. You're talking to all these people and you're having to change your polite speech kind of level with every person. Don't Koreans get confused with this?
Yeah, that is
you know what I'm saying?
I would be confused.
So would I.
Yeah. That's why then I would probably just start speaking English.
But I feel like Koreans do this really well. I've seen it and I'm like, wow, you are amazing.
The transition.
Yeah. Formal speech, casual speech. Yeah.
I get confused with like really formal speech where it's like 하지 마십시오.
Yeah.
Obviously like you wouldn't really say that, but sometimes I'm just like, should I say it? Or like 하지 마세요 or just 하지 마요? Like which one should I use? And like the last thing I would say that's taboo is like living together before you're married.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or having children before you're married. I feel like in Korea, there's like the shotgun weddings where celebrities find out they're pregnant and then they immediately have a wedding. Whereas back home, in English-speaking countries, if a celebrity gets pregnant before marriage, it's not really a big deal.
Because money is not a problem.
Money's not a problem, but also I think people just don't really mind so much, I guess. And like living together before marriage and back home is very, very normal because they feel like before you get married and live with someone, you should know what their habits are. Whereas here, not everyone. Some people do live together before marriage, but a lot of people do wait until after marriage, after the wedding ceremony to live together. And then having kids before marriage, I guess. I think that's a big no-no here. Some parents just think it's a no-no. Some parents might not mind.
Is that normal in Scotland?
It's pretty normal. Yeah, I have quite a few friends who have children without being married. Single parents also very common back home, which is actually really, it's kind of sad, but it is very common. Back home, a lot of couples, they don't see the point of marriage. It's just a piece of paper. It's just the law. If I love this person, then I can just love this person and live with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just call each other partners rather than wife and husbands. I have a lot of friends who believe that marriage is not necessary.
Yeah, you've given me a lot to think about. All right, thank you so much. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, cool. Bye. Hi, where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
So I want to talk today about things that are rude in Korea versus things that are rude in Canada, taboos in both countries, and I want to compare them.
The typical stuff is politics, religion, and sex.
Okay.
So pretty much no matter where you go, you should probably avoid those topics as much as possible.
Yeah.
Some people bring them up, and if they bring it up and you feel comfortable, you can talk about it, but I would recommend just not. Yeah.
I've experienced a few people joking with me about like Trump, and like they don't even know what I believe. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I have a bit of a different political view than most people. But the way of them bonding with me from other countries is like, you know what, he's terrible, right? And I'm like, you don't even know what I think. Like, and let's not get into that, So it's just, I think I like your advice.
Yeah. Another thing to add on to that is, I get this a lot too. People will talk about Trump or American politics. I am from Canada. I don't know what to say. It's not my country. I have opinions, but I feel I don't want to go into them in detail. Don't assume that a foreigner is from a certain area or that they have a certain political leaning, because you really don't know. Because I don't want to sound stupid talking about Trump when I'm not from there.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, so I've had some of my Korean students or friends ask me what to say in English for the word som, which is when you're not quite a couple, but you have something going on. But we don't
seeing each other, right?
Yeah, but we don't have a word for that in English. The closest thing is casual dating. But I've had this experience where I presented myself as some lecherous, strange person because I mentioned that I was casually dating more than one guy. But in Korea, they don't understand. You can't date more than one person. But where I come from, you can go to dinner and you can hang out with more than one person while you're getting a feel for who they are and if you want to take the next step.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
Yeah.
If you're dating more than one person, it's cheating, you're kind of deceiving them. But where I come from, it's not deception. If they ask me, are you seeing anyone? I'd be like, yeah, I'm dating a few people, plus you. But as long as you're honest and safe, especially if you're having sex with these people, it's totally fine. But in Korea, taboo.
Yeah, and it's to me, and I think to you too, it seems like a very easy kind of train of logic to follow. Why would you want to commit to somebody long term if you don't really know them? Because people are not who they are on the first day you meet them, or the second day, or the second week, or maybe even the second month, you know? So I always make the metaphor to a lot of Korean friends of mine where it's like, you're going to the real estate agency, you want to see a few houses before you sign the contract, right? And maybe you want to see them a few times, and maybe you see a house and you're like, oh, this is really good. All right, well, and then you meet a new person, you're like, whoa, this person's interesting.
Yep.
And I totally agree with you. Yeah, unless you pull the trigger and you're like, all right, I'm ready to get serious with this person. Before that, at least in the West, I think Canada is the same as the US. It's called testing the waters.
Yep.
We even have an expression for it.
For sure.
You're testing the waters. You know, you want to see what it's like out there.
Yeah. I also think it's respectful to the other person to like let them know, I just want to take my time, let's keep it light.
Yeah.
And then you have to have that conversation. But I feel like in Korea, they jump into dating without having a conversation sometimes. Like in my experience, I want to sit down and literally be like, are we exclusive? Yes or no? But I've had an experience where, let's say I kissed a guy, we were just casually dating, and then like a week or two later, after we went on more dates, I was like, okay, so I like you, I think this is going well, do you want to be my boyfriend? Real story, this is a true story.
All right.
And he looked at me and he was like, wait, aren't we already dating? And I was like, excuse me? Apparently I had a boyfriend for a week and a half and I didn't know. Because in his mind, when we had a kiss at the end of an older date, in his mind, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
He did not even talk to me about it. And I was just like, what's happening? And then I talked about it to some of my Korean friends and they were like, yeah. Like that was the end of the conversation. So you have to be very verbal and very communicative in dating in Canada. But in Korea, there's just sort of like this sort of unspoken agreement that apparently I missed. So be aware of that.
Yeah, and you could also even argue that in the West, Canada and the US, and probably other countries too, Western Europe, it's almost even polite to not mention that you're dating other people.
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing someone for the first, second, or third time, like, even asking, oh, are you hanging out with anybody else? It's kind of a bit of an intrusive
It can be.
question.
Yes.
Because it's like obvious, well, I met this person in a bar or on Tinder. Well, the chances that they're also kind of testing the waters with other people are quite high. Until you sign that contract, so to speak, kind of it's better left unasked.
I agree.
Yeah.
The only time I would definitely ask is if you're going to be doing anything sexual. In that case, I think it's good to say, I'm sleeping with other people.
Yes.
But that's a whole other level of maturity that some people don't have. So, you know, be careful what you're doing. And people will lie. And it sucks. And people
will lie. Yeah.
People will lie. This is a fact of life. But as long as you take the high road and you're like, I was honest and I was safe, then you should be okay. But don't be freaked out if someone's like, oh, by the way, I have other sexual partners. And you're like, because it will happen.
Yeah.
100%.
One more thing I want to say too is like Koreans shouldn't be afraid to date Westerners too,
No.
because I think a common stereotype would be that like, oh, it's hard to trust them because they're casual dating.
You're too open-minded.
But when Westerners say, okay, I want to date this person serious exclusively, you can trust that, you know?
Usually they mean it.
Yeah.
Yes, more often than not, because that's how we operate.
Yeah.
If you've been dating casually for a while and they don't bring it up at all, that's a red flag. You know, we've been casually dating for 4 months. What are we doing?
Yeah.
There's no time limit. Some people get together on the second date. I married him.
Yeah.
Some people take 2 or 3 months to finally make a relationship. But, you know, you should be open and talk about it. Like, okay, so where are we going? Like, check in along the way. But if you date foreigners or Westerners, you're more likely to have that conversation. Don't assume. You will be disappointed. Another taboo that I've noticed is probably discussions on birth control and condoms. So I had this experience. I was at a language exchange, and one of my guy friends who was from England, he opened his wallet to get his money, and some of the Korean girls at the table started like giggling, and they looked really embarrassed. And I was like, what's going on? And my Korean friend, she was like, oh, he opened his wallet? He has a condom in his wallet. And I was like, cool, good for him. And she couldn't believe it. She was so uncomfortable that one, she had seen it, and two, he just walks around all day with a condom in his wallet. And for me, I was like, if I was a woman meeting a guy and he always had a condom on him, I would think that's very attractive because it shows responsibility and it shows respect. It's not like he's waiting every minute of every day to have sex with someone. But in Korea, they don't talk about that kind of protection. They use it and they know about it, but they don't verbalize it. And so if you're in a relationship with a man and a woman and the guy asks the girl, by the way, what kind of birth control are you using? She would slap him in the face, break up with him, he's a jerk. He would be like the worst person in the world because it's considered so taboo to discuss what birth control they're using. But in the West, it's pretty basic for most healthy adult relationships. If your partner's like, what kind of protection do you like? What birth control do you want to use? This is a good sign that you should be with this person. The person who doesn't ask is the person you shouldn't be dating. But that taboo in Korea is what causes a lot of mistakes and friction among couples. So I'd like to see that taboo change, only because I, as a foreigner dating some Koreans, I have shocked many past boyfriends. They got over it eventually, but their initial reaction was like, whoa, whoa. My current husband, totally fine. He was like, okay, cool.
Your current husband.
Yeah, that's why I married him. Put a ring on it. Yeah. So we just had a discussion. He was like, okay, we can do that. And I was like, okay, cool. Here's how it works. End of discussion. Perfect. I think we were just having lunch. Yeah, but it's a big taboo.
So what I'm hearing is, just to summarize, obviously young Koreans are getting busy in that regard. Of course they are, like any young people around the world, but they're not really verbalizing it, and they're not checking in with each other enough. Hey, I'm doing this, do you know that? Or hey, how about we try this? Having these conversations are a lot tougher in your experience in Korea, and they're more taboo here.
Way more
but they're so important, and actually, ironically, not having them is more dangerous, but it's seen as more promiscuous if you have a condom on you, or if you talk about birth control, or if you're even on birth control, or you talk about STD tests, these kind of things.
Oh, that's still a big thing, I think. If you ask someone, like, would you like to go get tested? They're just like, why would I? And they'll say, oh, I don't have anything. I'm like,
I'm clean.
Are you a doctor? Can you test yourself at home? You don't know, and you should get tested, but it's a taboo.
Right on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye. I ran into an amazing fan. He's a very talented gentleman himself. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. How many languages do you speak?
About 5. So
Holy moly.
English is my main language, and then I also speak French, Korean, Polish, and Finnish.
Wow.
Finnish?
Yeah, it's very hard.
Wow, that's like quite easy, right?
It is.
How do you learn Finnish?
I used to date a Finnish girl, and then I went to Helsinki, and I met a lot of her friends, and that's how we became acquainted,
Wow, so is dating the best way to learn a language?
Oh yeah, my girlfriend right now is Korean, so that's the best way.
Is that working?
Yeah, I mean, last night we went out for drinks and I met some of her friends and we got a lot of good practice in, so yeah, it was really good.
But you gotta be careful because you don't wanna like copy the kind of more girl intonation. Because I feel like Korean women, Korean men speak a bit differently.
Yeah, I noticed that. But also a lot of my friends are from like Busan and Gyeongsang-do area, and so I actually picked up some like saturi from them. It was really funny. So like I would go up to one of my friends I haven't seen in a long time, and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you saying, man? Like, where did you learn that?" It's so funny.
That's awesome. so sick, man.
Yeah. Good to meet you.
Thanks for saying hi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to say, I
your time.
love the community centers because, you know, if you need any forms or anything, you would just go to the community center, show your ID card, and everything you need is just printed off for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
Yeah. There are a lot of really convenient government establishments.
Yes. I mean, in Britain, we don't have ID cards.
Really?
Yeah, we don't have ID cards. So our identification, like proof of identification, is used through passports and driving licenses.
Yeah, you know, that's true. Yeah.
And so if you need any documents, everything is so spread out. If you want a birth certificate, you'd have to go to like this center.
Yeah.
And if you want like a replacement for your driver license, you'd have to go to this center. Whereas in Korea, everything can be done in one center.
Yeah.
I love that.
If you are wearing red underwear, then it means luck.
Really?
Yeah, so I did that for my exams and I passed really well.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one. You take an exam, you wear red underwear,
Yeah.
and you can get a good score?
Yeah,
Really? Did it work?
yeah, it worked.
Wow! I gotta try that, although I'm not in school anymore, so. Dang, too late. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. More than most people from other countries, South Koreans take their superstitions pretty seriously, and some are quite interesting. Perhaps there are even some that are good to know for those who plan to travel here to Seoul. Let's see what some people living here in Seoul have to say about Korean superstitions. Let's go. Hi, where are you from?
I'm from California.
Do you have any examples of superstitions that you've experienced while living here?
The main one that comes up every so often is since I'm a teacher,
Yeah.
a lot of my students often will bring up the not writing your names in red. Because like it'll happen if like I'll write their names on the board,
Yeah.
I have to make sure I don't use my red marker. Or if I'm grading something and I write like nice job, if I use their name, that I don't use red or that I'll change it to like a different color or I just don't write their name at all. Because like they'll also even point out like if I'll write Korea in red, they're like teacher and I'm like you guys project that onto like the whole of Korean people as
Yeah.
well and they're like teacher please and I'm like oh okay I'm sorry and I'll like erase it and
Very
stuff.
interesting. Hi, where are you from?
I'm from France. When you're eating, you have to put your chopsticks not in the rice, but
Yeah.
next to your bowl,
Okay.
because it means death.
Have you ever done that by mistake?
Never.
Not once. Oh, she's perfect. Hi, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Russia. Oh, actually, I've heard a lot. I've heard about like fan. If you're going to sleep and you're going to keep turn on your fan, you will die.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure if it's true or not.
Right.
So I just like heard maybe some rumor,
Yeah.
or maybe it was some real situations. So not sure.
I've also heard about that one. Some people swear that it's true. Some people are like, oh, it's just a superstition. Do your Korean friends usually believe a lot of these superstitions?
Oh yeah, like about especially for relationship, because my friends got like experience about like she bought the shoes for her partner, and the next day they broke up.
Oh!
Yeah, right. So
Oh my god.
because they say like in Korean culture, if you're going to prepare some gift like shoes to your partner,
Yeah.
they're going to run away.
Oh my god.
So it's actually happened with my friend, so I think it's true.
Oh
so
my God.
I'm going to believe. So
Don't buy shoes to your partner.
yeah, never buy.
A lot of these superstitions can be kind of negative.
Yes.
Are there any positive superstitions you've experienced here? Like if this happens, it's good luck.
If you are wearing red underwear, then it means luck.
Really?
Yeah, so I did that for my exams and I passed really well.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never heard of that one. You take an exam, you wear red underwear,
Yeah.
and you can get a good score?
Yeah,
Really? Did it work?
yeah, it worked.
Wow! I gotta try that, although I'm not in school anymore, so. Dang, too late.
If you can see a pig in your dream, it's for a good luck.
Oh, so pigs mean good luck
Oh
in
yeah,
South Korea.
I actually am not really sure if it's is it true or not, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like superstition.
Yeah. Are there any superstitions that tourists should be careful of?
If you're just a tourist, I think you should be okay if you accidentally make a mistake with like writing someone's name in
Yeah.
red ink. Like especially if you're clearly a foreigner,
Yeah.
they're not gonna really get like drilled into like don't do this or
Yeah.
anything. It might just casually
Right.
come up.
It's just kind of a fun cultural
Yeah.
exploration, I suppose.
Yeah.
How would would you compare French superstitions to Korean superstitions?
I think both countries have superstitions, but we don't take that really seriously.
Yeah.
But maybe Koreans are more into superstitions than in French.
It seems that way, right?
Yeah, because, for example, in French, there is a superstition where we can't put the bread upside down on the table.
Bread?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because in Middle Age, we only put the bread like this for the one that killed someone, so it means really bad luck. But we don't really mind anymore, only the old people do that.
Wow.
But in Korea, also young people believe in superstitions, I think.
Yeah, well I think it's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely more a part of the culture here.
Yeah.
The only one that I can kind of have a comparison with is the whole like evil number between like Westerners associating the number 13 with like evil, and then Easterners associating the number 4 with like evil.
We also have lucky 7 too.
We do have a lucky 7.
Yeah.
You are right.
Yeah.
I think it's not many similar things.
Yeah, a lot, pretty different, right?
Yeah, because here like unlucky number is a 4. In Russia we have unlucky number like 6 and 13.
Okay.
So which is not really similar. And
why 6?
Because it's kind of devil number.
Oh, for like the Bible and
yeah,
Christianity.
So,
oh, interesting. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Once again, I'm Sean, and I'll see you next time. Bye. In this video, I interviewed 4 foreigners living in Korea, along with 4 Koreans living here, to see what kind of Korean celebrity they are attracted to. I wanted to see if there was a difference between the style of Korean celebrity that foreigners, primarily Westerners, were interested in, and the style of Korean celebrities that actual Koreans were interested in. I'll leave it to you guys to decide if there's a pattern or not. This was a really interesting video, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Let's begin. Hi, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Germany.
What's like your ideal type amongst Korean men or Korean celebrities? What kind of personality and what kind of appearance do you like?
I really like funny people and honest people, of course, but
so
the main
humor
point,
is important.
Yeah,
for you.
humor is important, like the most important thing. I need somebody who can make me laugh.
What about appearance-wise? Do you like more skinny, tall guys, or short guys, or muscular?
Like I like tall guys and not too muscular. I really like Park Seo-joon. I don't know. I think his appearance in Itaewon class especially was kind of unique. Like mainly because of his weird hairstyle. Yeah, I think it suited him so well. Mainly in the like drama, he was really emotional and really emphatic. Yeah, I like that about him in the drama. I don't know, there's something about it.
It's like raw, right?
Yeah.
It's not too perfect.
Yeah, not too perfect, right?
Also, I feel like a lot of women like him because in that drama, he's not afraid to fight for what he
Right, like he's standing up for himself.
Yeah,
that's
pretty attractive, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so how about your friends, your social circle? What kind of Korean guy do they like?
One of my friends, she also likes super tall guy. She says they have to be at least 190 centimeters, which is I think 6'6".
Yeah, that's really tall. So
like,
tall Korean guys are popular with your friends.
Yeah. Other than that, like when it comes to personality-wise, they just really like honest people as well. Like people who are not just playing around.
No bad boys.
No bad boys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, how's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from South Africa. Well, in general, a lot of Korean women like to be very feminine and slim. So they go on diets and they don't eat a lot. So they're very slim and skinny. But recently, there's been a new movement where women go to the gym more. They are more active. And you can see in their bodies that they become a little bit stronger. And I feel still very feminine, but they've got some curves to them, which I appreciate. I think it's really cool.
Okay, so you like women who exercise and
active
squat a lot.
Basically, yeah.
So is there a Korean celebrity that kind of personifies this for you?
Well, there's one that stands out. A couple of years ago, there was a model for SK, and this image just blew up. It's a model standing with her back in some tight jeans, and she just looks very healthy, and the jeans are very tight. But you know, for me, she's got a nice smile, and
I know who it is. Solhyun, right?
Solhyun, yeah, from AOA. Yeah, the majority of guys like her, and I think, yeah, she's beautiful. But yeah, it's because she exudes this healthy aura. But a lot of Koreans told me that she's got a browner skin than usual.
It's the bomb.
Yeah, so in general, you know, Asians, they shy away from getting a tan in general. But recently you see more people being active, going out cycling, jogging, walking, and I think that's a positive thing, getting a little bit of vitamin D. In general, the women that foreigners date are a bit more outspoken and outgoing, because you know it's not something normal for you to date someone from another country.
Yeah.
So most of these ladies, they've been well traveled, or they like engaging other people, especially strangers. So my friends date very social and outgoing people.
All right. See you later. Hey, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Scotland. Sunshine from Brown Eyed Girls. She's known for being like a fiery personality, and she sings about kind of risque stuff, and especially when a lot of her work was produced maybe over 5 years ago, it was topics like having relationships with gangsters.
Yeah.
So she was in a video called Sixth Sense with the rest of the Brown Eyed Girls.
Yeah.
And in this video, she had lots of bruises on her because it was to highlight domestic abuse at the time. So I feel like compared to other celebrities in Korean culture, she is really interesting. She's kind of subversive, and that's a trait and a characteristic that I appreciate. Someone who goes against the grain.
Real.
She's real. Yeah.
So it sounds like you like the way she looks, but her entire vibe is kind of cool to you.
Yeah, she's seen some things, and that's what I like, is character. A lot of the people in my circle, they like Taemin from SHINee, right?
Yeah.
They like him as a solo artist. They think he's really edgy and really cool, and yeah.
So I'm seeing like a pattern, like at least with you and your friends, you like the Korean celebrities who are not afraid to show their ugly side, to be raw, like not polished. Very interesting. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.